Ron Miller Race Car Studio, this is the Hammer Down Racing Report. And now your hosts, Scott Hammer and Ron Miller.
Welcome to the Hammer Down Racing Report for Thursday, May 21st. Show number 131. And you know what else today is?
It's May 21st.
Yeah, what else is today?
It's Donnie Walsted's birthday. It's Jeannie Crowder's birthday.
And Larry Jewett's birthday as well?
Absolutely, Larry Jewett's birthday.
And it's Ron Miller's birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for spending your birthday with us in the show. And the guys over at Sandusky Speedway were saying, damn, 100 years, long time. Yep, bet he can tell some stories of the pandemic back in the day, right?
Yeah, the very first one, the plague.
Exactly. Well, happy birthday, sir. How old are you? 22?
35.
All right, that's a good number.
Race car, either me or the race car, one of us is 35. I can never remember.
I'm going to have to update our video intros since I don't know when we're going to get back to the actual Ron Miller Race Car Studio, coming to you from my place and your place and everywhere in between, I suppose. On the show tonight, we're going to have Shawn Stewart, Executive Director of the U.S. Motorsports Association. We're going to talk to him about the formation of the Ohio Motorsports Coalition and what's being done to get racing back here in Ohio and across the country. And there's some tracks that are starting up. Merritt's going to be racing this weekend up in Michigan.
I guess they're working with some people in the grandstands.
And I was hoping, yes. And I was hoping to have a big announcement on something a little closer to us here in Toledo. Unfortunately, the things are still being worked out, I guess we can say.
Scott, it seems as though in Ohio, the governor has kind of delegated everything to the local health departments and.
Exactly. But we'll talk about that. Sandusky's got something coming up here, not this weekend, but next weekend. So racing is slowly creeping back, and like I said, we'll talk about all that. First, gotta pay some bills and make sure you go to Ron Miller Race Cars in Lambertville, Michigan, 734-856-7223. I still got to bring my car up there, get some service done.
Yeah, better hurry up. Time's getting short. We're effectively middle of April right now. That's where I see it.
Have people been kind of dragging their feet, getting their car ready for the season this year since it's kind of been pushed back?
Yeah, we've still got a few cars here that have significant amount of work.
All right, well, mine's easy, so it'll be quick. Give Ron a call.
We actually drug mine out of the trailer last weekend, and Ornery Don's kind of dressing up the body a little bit. So
first time since New Year's Day when you won the hangover?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, if it's a winning car, why touch it?
A little different setup.
734-856-7223. That is the number for Ron Miller Race Cars. Everything you need, gift cards, whatever. Thanks to Dean Henry, Big D's Pizza in Clyde. Give him a call, 419-547-1444. Mention the Hammer Down Race Report. Save 10% off any order. Thanks to Oakshade Raceway out in Waseon, where the fastest meet to race every Saturday night when there's not a pandemic. But that may change soon. And also Kester Mowing. Give Steve Kester a call for all your lawn and landscaping needs. He does mowing, seeding, fertilizing, insect, weed control, and more. And like I said, I had him do my landscaping a few weeks back, and I like it. He did a good job. I don't know anything about plants and stuff, but him and his crew were out here and done right about lunchtime. So, and they did a lot. Call Steve today at 419-466-3801. Tell him the Hammer Down Racing Report sent you. And if you want to be a sponsor of the show, get your name on our little scroll down here. You can do so. Just get a hold of me, Scott Hammer at iHeartMedia. There you go. .com, or shoot me a message on Facebook, however you want to get a hold of me. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Hammer Report. You can also follow us on YouTube and watch rebroadcasts of these, as well as on Facebook. Like us on there. I don't think I mentioned it, but we hit like 2,000 likes a few weeks back. So we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, breaking news from Ron Miller Race Cars. We have
wait! Breaking news.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Actually, last Friday.
Hold on. We got breaking news. All right, go on. What's your breaking news?
That sounds like you stole that from CNN.
No, I stole it from the radio station.
Okay, cool. We got our first pretty significant order of bomber tires in for the Oakshade guys, and still got a good inventory. Quite a few have headed out, but we're not quite racing yet. So when you guys are ready for your bomber tires, we've got them.
So that doesn't sound like breaking news to me. That sounds more like just an advertisement and shameless plug for Ron Miller Race Cars.
Okay, it was a shameless plug.
All right. Well, coming up a little bit later.
Kyle Busch, I can take it.
We'll have all the latest racing news, lots of NASCAR this week. Even just before we came on, the Xfinity race finished up, and a great finish to that we'll talk about. But first, let's get to our guest this week. Let's unmute him and bring him in here. We have Shawn Stewart again, the Executive Director of U.S. Motorsports Association. Before we get to the Ohio Coalition, tell us a little bit about yourself and the U.S. Motorsports Association, what it is you guys do, and how everything works.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us on here. We appreciate it. It's good to be here. We're the U.S. Motorsports Association. We're about 5 years old. We were founded 5 years ago by kind of a coalition of companies that came together, from Lucas Oil to Optima Batteries to Safety Clean, that recycles fluids all over the country at different tracks. And what we saw was just this long ongoing void in grassroots racing. And the void meaning lack of organization and representation for grassroots racing. A lot of small tracks that are family-run businesses that don't have a lobbying group or don't have a big organization that's out there trying to advocate for them. So we decided it was time to form the U.S. Motorsports Association, and we really focus on that. Long before this pandemic, we focused on mostly grassroots and mostly state and local level, getting relationships established between everyone from the county commissioner all the way up to state reps and federal as well, but mostly state and local level politicians, getting them out to events, trying to turn them to race fans. But if they don't become race fans, we're okay with that, as long as they establish a relationship between the track and between the public official. So that's been our goal for years. That's what we've been working on and doing all over the country. And when this pandemic hit, it became a state and local level issue. And we really went into action right away. We've been working 15-hour days around here just to try to keep up with all the changes and that kind of thing. But we were really positioned. It was almost as if God knew years ago we were created for this moment here, because it's just been busier than ever with the phone ringing nonstop.
Shawn, are you primarily an informative group, or do you actually have lobbyists that are talking to some of our legislators?
So we don't have registered lobbyists, but we have a political team led by Robert Johnson. He's actually based in Pennsylvania, and he works all over the country. He's been in state and local level politics for years, also understands the racing industry really well. We're kind of always in the belief that you don't need big, high-paying lobbyists or lawyers or things to get things done. It's a relationship game, especially on that state and local level. A lot of tracks just don't reach out to their county commissioners throughout the year. But these are, we focus on national politics, which is just insane. And the local level, though, the county commissioner more than likely owns a business in town and that kind of thing. They can help you with so many things. So we really are the bridge, if you will, between the tracks, the small businesses like yours, Ron, and really getting that local level and state level politician to understand who we really are. There's a negative perception out there that we're noisy and dirty and all unsophisticated and all these kinds of things. So we try to change that perception by way of building relationships. And then when there is an issue, that noise complaint comes or whatever it may be, they can pick up the phone, call that track owner, that promoter. They have a relationship. With the whole COVID-19 thing, we are definitely seeing the tracks that had good relationships established are getting things done more so than the ones that didn't have a relationship there.
Are you working to guide some of the tracks through this whole mess?
Yeah, so Robert, he actually called me right when states started going on lockdowns. He called me and he said, racing's going to need our help, and they're going to go to the back of the line. And he was right. We're going to get shoved to the back of the line. It's like, hey, we're going to deal with everything else long before we get to racing, because they picture racing as 50,000 people in the stands. Of course, we're not going to do that right now. So we went into action pretty quickly. We formed a lot of leadership teams. We have a drag racing leadership team, a motocross one, circle track. Really tried to bring experts from scientists and doctors to racetrack promoters, owners, and came together pretty quickly and came up with what we call the COVID-19 toolkit. So if you go to our website, I'll give my own shameless plug here to Save Racing, and you can click the COVID-19 toolkit button. It gives you a 5-step, very detailed plan on how to reach out to your local officials, which ones are important.
What's that website?
The website's Save Racing. That's the easiest way to get there. And .com. Yep, saveracing.com. And you go click the COVID-19 toolkit button. That's free to use. There's all kinds of templates there, health plans. Lots of tracks around the country have been using those as a guideline for themselves to take to the health department and then try to get racing reopened.
Cool. Now, where exactly are you based out of?
So the USMA is headquartered in just north of Charlotte, North Carolina. So we're in Mooresville, North Carolina. Race City, USA, they call it, is where we're headquartered. But we operate all over the country, and we were kind of on a path over the next year or two. We wanted to start establishing state coalitions. That's something we've been working towards, and we were going to kind of do that slowly, and that's turned into creating these things overnight. So we had the template there. It's just a matter of getting them done. We were getting flooded with calls from a dirt track to a racetrack to a motocross park, all with different problems but similarities from the same states. So in Ohio in particular, we decided, hey, let's form a coalition. Let's get on a united front, and let's try to move some things along under a united front, under a way that politicians kind of understand. They understand coalitions. They understand some of those things. So we've been doing the best we can to organize quickly and try to be heard.
Now, the Ohio Motorsports Coalition, that's been formed. What is that comprised of? And if somebody wants to be more involved in it, how can they get involved in that?
Yeah, so great question. We formed it pretty quickly. We're working towards getting a website up just for that and that kind of thing. We've got, I think, about 40 or 50 different tracks and people involved in that that have joined that coalition. And these are track owners, promoters, event people. Bill Bader at Summit Motorsports Park's been a big part of that, and several tracks across the state from all across the spectrum of racing. So right now we have a Facebook page up. It's just Ohio Motorsports, and you can find the Ohio Motorsports Coalition on there. We're asking you to like that page, just helping to grow our numbers. You can go to our website and become a registered member of the USMA. There's no fee to do that for an individual. And what that does, it just grows our numbers. When we go in to talk to a politician, we can break that database down by a county. If we're meeting with a county commissioner, we can say we have X amount of people in your district that are members of ours for motorsports. So those numbers are hugely important.
Now, has there been any action taken by the Ohio Motorsports Coalition as far as getting racing back here in the state of Ohio?
Yeah, we did. We put a formal letter together from the coalition. We got that submitted into the state, to the governor's office. and we've been asking to be put on their task force. I think it's a different name, and I apologize. We're dealing with 40 states at once that all have some form of a task force or reopening plan, and they have these advisory groups. We found one for outdoor recreation and entertainment, and when you look at the list of who's on there, there's all kinds of associations that represent everything from camping to hiking to horseback riding and so on. And so we feel we absolutely have no reason that we shouldn't have representation on there. We would put, not myself, not being in Ohio, we would put actual track owners and promoters that would, go and sit on that advisory group and try to help guide them in reopening. So we've done that. We've been reaching out to a lot of state representatives, state senators, trying to find a champion there who will move things forward. We've found some of those in other states, but I'll be honest, it's been a bit of a struggle. This is a tough thing. I don't want to paint a rainbow on it. It's been a challenge to find state reps and state senators that will carry the motorsports message for us. So we're all options are on the table right now. Put it that way.
It sounds like there's a
Shawn. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ryan.
One of our race directors is watching, and he wonders if you've got a gut feeling as to when we might get some fans.
So, very tough question to ask and to answer because it's a mixed bag.
That's why I asked it.
Yeah. Here's what I see just as a whole across the country. The tide is turning. It was kind of doom and gloom, shut everything down. Then it was racetracks will maybe never open again. There was that it was that doom and gloom of maybe we'll never have a concert. That started to shift. And over this thing changes, by the way. I mean, we can talk again tomorrow night, and I'll probably have a whole bunch of different things to say.
Absolutely.
I say we all kind of joke here. We get up in the morning. It seems like a normal day. Then we remember we're living in a real episode of The Twilight Zone, and it kind of unfolds in just this bizarre change of events. I mean, it is a roller coaster ride. We're defeated one minute. We get a call. This didn't work out, or this track we thought was going to open didn't. And then we get a call. Some track we thought would never open is moving along. So I can say this. There is a shift in the tide right now, and you're seeing it in Ohio with some lawsuits that had some success, and I think the tide is shifting that we've got to reopen as a country, and that means everybody, and that includes racetracks, and so we're seeing more test and tunes. We are having some events with fans, and we're showing, and we're encouraging tracks to show that, hey, we can do this, we can follow CDC guidelines, we can do all of those things. We've got tons of space, and we can do it better than probably a lot of other events in town. So I see light coming up over the horizon. I do think that we're going to get back to racing. Maybe it's just my patriotic belief, but I think by July 4th, we're going to see, throughout the month of June, that tide and that wave really grow of reopening and getting fans back in. If you think about it, you take a track, if you take your maximum capacity, that you're probably not hitting every Saturday night, if you're honest with yourself, and you present that plan that here's my maximum capacity, you can go 25% or 50% and hopefully start to make some money, have a good track record going, not have any problems, and then see that move forward. It is as quick as we shut down and as quick as the doom and gloom came, I see that tide turning and we're starting to reopen. So I think it is positive on the horizon. I hope.
Is it? And it's pretty amazing because those numbers. I'm pretty politically active, and what, Scott? All right, so it's an understatement. Anyway, all along I've thought that we would see racetracks opening around the first week of June, and I think we're pretty close to that. And right now the states are pretty much mandating no people in the stands. And I really think, and I haven't gone out on a limb with this one, but I'm thinking early July, we're going to start seeing probably a third capacity allowed in the grandstands, which falls right between your 25 and 50%. So I think you guys are spot on.
I think so. it also happens so quick. And one thing happens, the next thing happens. I mean, I saw in Ohio, now you can have a wedding with 300 people. Well, that's just kind of cracking things back open, and it could go even quicker. And then we've got some tracks that are just ignoring the governor's orders, and they're going forward. We're not sitting here saying you should or shouldn't do that. We think no matter what you do, you need a good perception right now, mask, those kinds of things. I know even watching the NASCAR race, it may have looked like overkill, but we don't need the Monday morning folks saying, here's these reckless racers. So I think to do a little overkill right now is a good thing. But we've got some tracks that opened against the orders. The police showed up, said, hey, we're here to tell you you're against the orders, and then they left. And they have literally said, we're not going to enforce these things. And that is happening more and more around the country. So I think as other things open, I mean, we're trying to work as much as we can with other industries, not just racing, but other outdoor recreation industries to say, hey, we've all got to get open. And we are. We're for every negative out there, we're starting to see things reopen. I think we will have fans in the stands, this summer in a sizable capacity.
It sounds like from the people I've been talking to that the tracks have to work with their local health departments, at least here in Ohio. I'm assuming it's probably similar throughout the country. What advice would you give racetrack owners trying to put together proposals to get back to racing? And what advice would you give to race fans that are just kind of sitting out there like, hey, when can we go back to the track and watch some racing?
So I think for the tracks, I mean, to go to our site and use that COVID-19 toolkit, it literally walks you in a 5-step plan of who to contact, how to contact. It is different everywhere. So you can talk to one county and the health department director is fully in charge. You can talk to another county and they say, well, we're not in charge. The governor's in charge. So it's all over the place. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. And every county by county, state by state's a different situation. So we're encouraging tracks, go to our site, get some of those tools, at least get yourself a framework. Try your best to work with your county officials. Hopefully you have a good relationship there. If you don't, if you had some bad relationship in the past, it's time to, kind of eat some humble pie and say, hey, we're here to work with you. A lot of success stories, though, we are seeing where the health department, they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do for, fairs and festivals, and the racetracks are coming with a plan. And they've been thanked by the health department saying, hey, thank you. You're the first person to actually bring me a plan versus just asking me for one. So they don't always know what to do. I think it's important to remember that, politicians, health department people, they don't always have the answers. And so the more we can guide them on that, the better. And the more you can reach out for fans. I think it's important that, you reach out as well to your local officials and not yell at them or curse at them, but let them know the economics of racing, what this means to you, that this is what your family does. It's important to say that if we don't do this, we're not doing something else. So the community's losing a huge economic value, and that we want to get back out and we plan to be responsible and wear a mask, whether, whatever your thought is on that. It's like, in our minds, is just put the thing on and let that be the social media pictures and all that. There you go. If I thought the so far the mask award goes to Denny Hamlin there for just kind of making a joke. The mask is on, and we can't fight all that right now. I think we've got to put a good perception, good image. Let's get things opened up, and you can take the mask off later on.
Very good. One thing that I've kind of seen is that tracks that have been approved to go back to racing, they have all these strict rules and regulations, and they need the fans and the racers help in abiding by those rules and kind of setting a good example and kind of saying, this, we can do this and following the rules, where it'll become a problem where folks aren't following the rules and then they may shut down the track. Have you run into any issues like that with any of the tracks that have been allowed to run yet?
Yeah, great question. I'll be honest, most of it's been positive. I mean, we have not had a lot of backtracking, meaning, this went forward, then went backwards. It hasn't been 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards. It's more like, hey, you can't move forward, but then when you can take 1 step forward, we haven't seen a lot of backwards. We had Tulsa Raceway Park in Oklahoma. They were one of the first to get approved all the way up to the governor. So all at the local level, health department, all the way up to the governor, had a very extensive plan that they built. They were approved at 50% fans. They went ahead and ran with 25%, just, again, to not have any, neighbor complaints or anything like that. They could always come back and say, we did even less than what we were required. They were very concerned of what you're saying is now we bring in it's one thing to write the plan. It's another thing to bring racers in and fans in and then try to control all that. They certainly had to remind people, they had one guy could come to tech and those kinds of things. And, people were forgetting, but they reported back that fans were excellent. The racers were excellent, and that they really sent the message that, hey, if we want to go racing, we're going to have to do these things. And they said that for the most part, they didn't have any issues. They had they made national news, actually, that was positive. It showed America reopening and panned the grandstands that were very spread out. And I think that's our perception right now is very important.
So you guys have had a lot of work to do, and kind of like you said, this is like the perfect situation for what you guys are created for, and kind of a bridge between the governments and the tracks, and kind of a voice, I guess, to get that dialogue going between them, which is in these times very much needed. And I guess we appreciate what you're doing and trying to get racing going.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we I love this game. I've been in it for 20 years on all kinds of different forms of it. But the grassroots racing side, if you think about it, we're probably, you take NASCAR away and some of the big series, racing across America, from go-karts to dirt late models to sprint cars to drag racing, you name it, is probably the biggest industry in America that nobody really knows or understands. So that's really our mission, and our goal is to make sure that on that state and local level we're heard, our economics are understood, and really the importance of why we exist. Race fan or not, a racetrack in your community is a good thing.
Well, I race in Ohio and have a lot of customers there, but I live in Michigan, not too far from the state line. And I know a couple of our Michigan promoters are watching tonight. Any thoughts for those poor folks?
I mean, it's state by state, but it's been a struggle. I mean, even within states like New Jersey and New York, I'm not going to name names, but there are some tracks that are racing that are kind of flying under the radar. Nobody's bugged them. There's other ones that have and been shut down. So, again, I think you got to be persistent right now. We will get past this, but even if you're in Michigan and, where the politics aren't favorable, you have to look at all your options and be working with your local law enforcement and that local level. And if you run out of options, there are legal options too. That's not what we do, but I think, when I say all options are on the table right now, we have to look at all that. We're always the type of organization, again, that doesn't want big, high-paid lobbyists and lawyers and all that. But there is a time and place when, you have to protect your business and make that one of your options.
Well, it's a real shame that, especially right now, racetracks need to be lawyered up.
It is. It's sad. I mean, I can tell you, this is the first time I've ever said that since working with this group, because we have countless tracks that have called us over the years that are either already involved with a lawyer or they're thinking that's their only option. And we always say, wait a minute, we can come in. Let's work the back door here. And Robert, our government affairs director, is excellent at doing that. You don't need all that. Let's go get some conversations going and build your economic case and all that. This is different. I mean, we are seeing, when they say draconian measures, it's happening for real. However, that tide is turning. I mean, even in California, where I'm originally from, I don't know if I should even admit that, but the governor.
Well, you were smart enough to leave.
Doesn't racing cause cancer in California?
Well, it does. I actually, every time I buy something and it says, cause I always send it to my friends in California. Hey, I just want to protect you. I'm good here with this chainsaw, but you need to watch out there. So, but the governor of California is starting to ease up, like overnight. He's starting to ease up, and a lot of that is pressure and things that's going on behind the scenes. And we want to be one of those organizations that's heard. We're not asking to do anything reckless or do anything that's unsafe. But the more we learn, we want to make sure we're heard. So, the tide's turning. It really is. And I think as these politicians look at poll numbers and political pressure, for example, they were threatening to pull liquor license and things like that. Well, as soon as the beer lobbyists hear that and the distributors hear that, they're not going to want that to happen. So there's a lot happening behind the scenes that we don't even see or know about. But they say one thing and then they get a call from the beer lobbyist that's writing them checks saying, I don't want liquor license pulled from, racetracks across America, that kind of thing. So the tide's turning. We really believe it is.
Well, again, we appreciate everything you're doing. The website, again, saveracing.com, where you can get the toolkit, the COVID-19 toolkit. And we appreciate you giving us the time here this evening.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. Again, there is light at the end of the tunnel here, and we're here to help. And we're not miracle workers, but we're doing everything we can.
Again, thank you, Shawn Stewart, Executive Director of U.S. Motorsports Association. And again, the Ohio Motorsports Coalition. If there's any tracks around here, people that want to get involved in that, how can they do that? It's at the saveracing.com as well. What was that site?
Yeah, or you can just go on Facebook, just look up the Ohio Motorsports Coalition and just like the page. That's where we're posting a lot of info. We'll have a website up specific for that group here soon and trying to work as quick as we can. But yeah, those two places, the Ohio Motorsports Coalition on Facebook or over to our saveracing.com page.
All right, very good. Well, you're welcome to stick around. We got a lot of other racing news to get to here. If you got to go, we appreciate the time again.
I would love to stick around. However, we've been put in like 15 hours. I promised my son a couple things tonight, so I'm gonna bug out and put family first, if you don't mind.
All right, not a problem. Totally understand it.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, Shawn.
Take care, Shawn.
You too. All right, bye-bye.
Bye. Shawn Stewart again. They're the Executive Director of the U.S. Motorsports Association. Some good information there from him this evening. Now, Ron, let me ask you this. If you had to wear a mask to go racing, I know it's probably a dumb question. I know how much you hate masks, but I also know how much you like racing. Would you wear a mask?
Scott, I posted on Facebook the other day that small businesses are very important, and I would sacrifice wearing a mask to save a small business. So, yeah, if that was mandatory. Now, obviously, I would not consider racing with a mask on because it would inhibit your respiration. But,
You got a helmet on. So that's kind of like
right.
There. That's the mask you need right there, the Denny Hamlin one.
That is cool. It really is.
Let's talk about some racing action. That there's quite a bit this past weekend and this past week. We'll start out with the Jimmy Owens picking up the win Friday's 40-lap feature at Magnolia Motor Speedway, and he also won Saturday's Spring Sizzler at 401 Motor Speedway. Rusty Schlenk got his first win of the season as well on Saturday. He raced at Clarksville Speedway down in Tennessee. So congratulations to him. The Lucas Oil Late Model Series was back in action on Tuesday night. Jimmy Owens got another win there. He picked up his first Lucas Oil Late Model win of the season. And Kyle Bronson was the winner last night, Wednesday night at Golden Isles. The series is in action again tonight at Golden Isles, and then is scheduled for East Bay Raceway Park in Florida, May 25th through the 27th. So racing action going on there for those guys. And we'll talk about the World of Outlaw sprints and late models. They're going to be back in action as well this weekend. NASCAR racing Kevin Harvick earned his 50th career Cup Series win on Sunday as NASCAR returned to action at Darlington. It was kind of weird at first with no fans, and it was kind of
weird all day. And he really he felt totally out of place when he got out of the car and there was nobody there.
I was gonna say that's about the only time it really seemed weird was when he got out of the car and was like, it's so quiet. But other than that, the race was just pretty much a normal race on TV, other than the empty stands and the grandstand.
The race itself was kind of funny, Scott, because part of the race was exciting, and then other parts of it were like the cars were socially distancing themselves. They just strung out, and it got pretty boring at times. And then they'd have a caution, and things would get exciting again.
Well, the Xfinity race was scheduled, or the Xfinity Series was scheduled to race on Tuesday night. That got rain delayed until today, and they were supposed to start at noon. They didn't end up starting until about 4:30. We'll talk about that because last night the Cup Series was back in action again for the second time at Darlington, and that's when Denny Hamlin was able to win. And that was kind of an interesting finish to that race, where just before that final caution came out with was like 20-some laps to go, it was a caution for Kyle Busch, who was trying to get back in line, I guess, as Chase Elliott was passing him for the second position, and Busch just turned him right there on the straightaway. And I don't think Chase Elliott was too happy about that. He gave him the number one symbol, say, hey, you're number one.
Yeah.
But after the race, well, of course, Denny Hamlin was declared the winner with that mask on, and that was after it started raining during that caution, and there was only 20-some laps left to go. So Hamlin picked up the win. But here is what Kyle Busch had to say after that incident where he turned Chase Elliott, where he wasn't very happy. Chase Elliott was not happy. His crew was not happy, and I guess his crew chief went over and talked to Busch after they climbed out of the car.
There's a long relationship between Kyle Busch and Elliott's crew chief, in that he used to be Kyle Busch's crew chief. So it was probably best that the two of them talked it out rather than Chase going over and
the camera picked up
casting aspersions on Kyle's parentage.
And the cameras picked up on the broadcast at least one F word that was uttered during that conversation. But this
you'll have that.
Yeah, you'll have. But here's what Kyle Busch had to say in the situation shortly after that. They're not going to go get ice cream together anytime soon.
You finished second, but a long conversation with Alan Gustafson. Walk us through what you believe took place from your side of the fence.
Oh, there's no question. I know I made a mistake and just misjudged the gap. When we were racing there with the 11 and the 9 had to run on him, I knew he was there. And I knew I needed to get in line as quick as I could. And in doing so, I watched him and his momentum that was going by me. And then I tried to look up in the mirror and see where Harvick was to get in. And I just misjudged it. I made a mistake and clipped the 9 there and spun him into the wall. So I hate it for him and his guys. I got too many friends over there on that team to do anything like that on purpose. I've raced Chase since he was a kid and never had any issues with him whatsoever. So it was just a bad mistake on my part, and we'll just have to deal with it later on.
After the debate, you've made your case. Do you feel like that, obviously there's hurt feelings, but do you believe that Gustafson and their side believe exactly what happened?
Go ask them.
Well, you had the conversation with them. How did he leave it?
They're upset. They're mad. I'm not just going to fix it and we're going to have go ice cream tomorrow, So obviously they're going to have to dwell on it and the repercussions of it, I'm sure I'm going to have later on down the road.
All right. Thanks, Kyle.
Now I want some ice cream. I'm hungry for some ice cream. And some cake. Cake would be nice, too.
Well, you've got Timbo's cones and such not too far down the street, so when we're done, you can run over there.
All right. Maybe I'll get them as a sponsor. As we mentioned, the Xfinity Series put on a great race this afternoon, at least a great finish. I was kind of watching the race off and on while I was working, but at the finish, Chase Briscoe was leading Kyle Busch. Again, Kyle Busch, in contention. He had a pit road speeding penalty that put him at the back kind of late in the race, and he worked his way back up to the front. The late caution kind of helped him out. And both him and Briscoe were racing for the lead, and they slammed each other. They were racing hard, and Briscoe held on and won. It was a pretty good finish if you had a chance to see that. And
I did. It was impressive. The post-race interview was impressive. NASCAR has really done well in presenting a product that's the only sporting event on TV right now.
They're taking advantage of the limelight, I guess, as being the only.
And they're doing it well. They've stepped on their toes a few times, and right now they're doing well. And looking forward to the Charlotte race this weekend.
And I guess from what I've heard, they didn't really have any big hiccups with the broadcast, the race itself. Everything kind of went as planned without any big problems. So cool. Hopefully,
I haven't heard any of the broadcast numbers.
I haven't either. I'm curious
from yesterday, but I know that Sunday's race was enormous, huge viewership.
What else are you going to watch?
Yeah,
replays
something like 9.5 million viewers. It was huge.
Really that big? Wow, that is big, especially for a NASCAR race. As you mentioned, the Cup Series is back in action. Actually, all three series, NASCAR top three series, are back in action at Charlotte, coming up, starting with the Coca-Cola 600 Sunday night at 6 o'clock on Fox. That's like the first originally scheduled race that hasn't changed from the original schedule.
Right.
So that'll be on Sunday night, starting at 6. Then the Cup Series again will race at Charlotte Wednesday night at 8 o'clock on FS1. The Xfinity Series will race Monday night at 7:30 on FS1 at Charlotte, and then the Trucks will race on Tuesday at Charlotte. So that's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 4 straight nights of NASCAR racing from Charlotte Motor Speedway.
I hope people don't burn out, but NASCAR, like I said, they've been presenting a good program.
So hopefully that continues there at Charlotte then. In some other racing news, some sad news actually. A track worker lost his life at Wisconsin Cedar Lake Speedway on Friday night after a school bus crash. The school bus had rolled over and caught fire. Driver got out uninjured, and the fire crew put out the fire. While attempting to right the bus, a chain became dislodged and apparently crushed Edward Nicholson, who was 62. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Did you hear about that?
I did.
Crazy stuff there. Likelihood of the NTT IndyCar Series racing in Toronto this year took a major hit on Friday afternoon. The city of Toronto announced that the permits for several major events in July and August have been canceled as Canada continues to battle the COVID-19 virus. Among the permits canceled was the permit for the Honda Indy Toronto, which was scheduled for July 12th at Exhibition Place. Kevin Savory of event promoter Green Savory Race Promotions said they were working on potentially rescheduling the race for later in the year. A little closer to home, Sandusky Speedway. They're going to drop the green flag on the 2020 racing season coming up a week from Saturday, May 30th, with no fans. And I don't believe they're going to have the modifieds. It'll just be the support classes. We'll go through the exact classes coming up a little bit later. But we will be talking about some upcoming racing in our neck of the woods, our region, within the next couple of weeks here. So that's cool.
Matt Swander said 6.3 million viewers for Sunday's race.
Well, that's not 9.
Well, it's almost 9.
I think the average is like 1, 2, 3 million maybe for some of those races. So that's pretty good.
It's phenomenal. Matt. It really is. Put
that up there for you. Official Hammer Down Racing Report correspondent Matt Swander, that is. Ryan Missler.
AKA Flag Guy.
Yes. Did you hear about Ryan Missler?
I did. Don't know the details. Fill us in.
I don't know the details either. He just that he posted on the Ryan Missler Racing Facebook page, quote, "The 2020 race season is up in the air for us. Due to unfortunate circumstances, I will not be racing with last season's car owner. Grateful for the opportunity, but it's time to move on." So, and he went on to say there's a chance that we will probably see him at a dirt track this year, but things are kind of up in the air for
Yeah.
former track champion there, Vatico Raceway.
And that's a shame because he has really come a long way and is definitely one of the top contenders in our area.
There's the classes running at Sandusky a week from Saturday. Renegades, Pure Stocks, Midwest Compact Series Warriors, and Beginner Style. I think they were talking about some of the Vors guys were going to come over and race too. Maybe Doug can shed some light on that. I thought I heard him talking about that. So maybe Rob Rim will be coming from Indianapolis to race up there.
Maybe.
Yeah. Moving on. Flat Rock Speedway's ARCA CRA race scheduled for June 20th has been moved to Anderson Speedway in Indiana. So they continue to chip away at their schedule, cut it back, I guess you could say. Eldora announced the cancellation slash rescheduling. I'm going to say it's a cancellation because they rescheduled the Dream, the Dirt Late Model Dream, for June of 2021. So as of this year, it's canceled. It's not really rescheduled. Mm-hmm. But they said it's rescheduled. I don't like the terminology.
Well,
they canceled it for
if it's rescheduled, could they run 2 Dreams next year?
Yeah, well, it's the 26th running of the Dirt Late Model Dream. Maybe next year they'll run it twice. It'll be the 26th and 27th running.
Yeah,
in 2021.
I doubt that'll happen. I don't know.
Yeah. Also being rescheduled, the All-Stars have announced, the All-Star Circuit Champions, the postponement of the Ohio Sprint Speed Week, which was set to be June 12th through the 20th. And it's going to be, they're looking at the first part of July for the new dates for that. The series has left open July 3rd through the 12th to attempt those Speed Week shows, but individual track dates have not yet been announced. So hopefully we get that. And remember last year, pretty crazy stuff with all the weather and tracks kind of trading dates at the last minute. It's like, hey, it's not raining up here. How about you guys come up here and race tonight? And it kind of worked out too.
And it did.
So that was pretty cool. The 2020 Fremont Speedway Hall of Fame induction ceremony has been postponed. The 12th annual induction ceremony was originally scheduled for Saturday, June 6th, but now that'll take place along with the 2021 class Hall of Fame inductees next June. So again, they're rescheduling, but also it's a cancellation for this year. It's rescheduled the next year. World of Outlaw Sprints are back in action tomorrow night, Friday night, at Federated Auto Parts at I-55 Raceway. This is the weirdest named track. I don't like that one.
It wouldn't be weird if you owned Federated Auto Parts.
No, or the track, and you get the sponsorship money, the race, the naming rights for that. But anyway, $6,000 to win for tomorrow night, and then Saturday is $20,000 to win. So that's pretty damn big. I'm not sure if there's fans allowed there or not. I didn't read into that. That'd be interesting, though, to see. The World of Outlaw late models are also in action Friday and Saturday. They're going to be at Jackson Motorplex in Minnesota, and they're going to be running for the same purse as the Sprint: $6,000 on Saturday, $20,000, or $6,000 on Friday, $20,000 on Saturday. So,
not a bad weekend.
No, not at all. As we mentioned earlier, and I didn't put this in my notes, but Merritt Speedway up there in Michigan, do you have any more information on this? They're going to be running this weekend.
They will be, and I understand that they will have some people in the grandstands. Now,
and concessions, from what I heard.
Governor Whitmer's edicts kind of loosened up for the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, as well as the Traverse City area. So they're getting out of jail before the rest of us poor folks here in the state. And I don't know what the limits on the grandstands will be, other than that there will be grandstand seating, and that they have had an awful lot of interest. I think they're going to have huge car counts both nights.
I'll just pull it up their Facebook page here. Looks like Saturday they're going to be running late models, 2,000 to win, 1,000 to win for the B feature. UMP Modifieds Pro Stock, 6 and 4 cylinders, B mods, and then Sunday late models, B mods, factory stocks, modified or UMP modifieds, and 4 and 6 cylinders.
Scott, originally it was Saturday was going to be 1,200 to win, and Sunday was going to be 2,000 to win. And I guess there is no B main transfer either night, but the B mains will be paying basically the B mains will be paying half of what the A main purse is.
Well, all right then. So I'm glad racing is coming back, at least up there. As long as we can get it down here. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. The tracks are working with their local health departments and trying to get things done. And as Shawn had mentioned, a lot of the health departments, what is going on at your house?
My alarm system's going off.
Oh, okay.
That's Henry thinking he's a badass.
I thought you put your dog in the garbage disposal or something. Bad. But a lot of tracks are working with their local health departments, and I guess a lot of them are finding out a lot of the health departments don't know a lot about racing. They're not very familiar with all the procedures and everything that goes on there. So it's kind of hard to communicate everything that's going on and make them understand. I think one of the things I heard was one of the health departments asked, well, how many people are in the race cars? So there's kind of a disconnect there.
Well, it's kind of a family sedan thing, you know.
I got the kid in the child seat in the back, so it's all good. So last week's How Many was the car number of the 10th place finisher at Darlington on Sunday. And do you know who that was? Who finished?
I don't.
That was Matt Kenseth in the number 42. He was the 10th place finisher in his 42 car. So pretty good debut, top 10 finish. Coming back after how many years of being out?
2.5, I think, 2 years.
But that was out of cup competition. I believe he's still been racing at more local level though.
Some short track stuff.
Yeah. So I was, of course, the winner for that because I guessed the lowest number, or I don't remember what number I guessed.
But you won. You remember?
That's all that matters there. Yeah. Our online winner of a Big D's large pizza was, and you know this guy, I believe you might know him. His name is Steve Miller.
Really?
Yes, and he's not the Joker, the Toker, the Midnight, whatever, you know.
No.
Ron Miller Race. Did you name him after that, Steve Miller? Were you like, how?
No, he was named before them.
Oh, okay. Steve Miller's pretty old though. Not your son, Steve Miller, but the.
Yeah, well, so is he, but that's okay.
So he guessed 48. And so he was closest to the 42 number there. He gets the Big D's pizza. Get with Dean Henry and get that. So this week's How Many? And I couldn't think of a good one this week, so I just came up with how many laps will the last place finisher complete in the Coca-Cola 600? So like on Sunday at the first race at Darlington, who was it? 47.
Half a lap.
Stenhouse didn't even complete a lap. So it could be
Right.
0. So if you want to play along and for a chance at a Big D's Pizza, go ahead and put your guess in the Facebook Live comments. If you're listening to us on iHeartRadio or any other podcast, and it's before Sunday at 6 o'clock, you can go ahead and find this and type in your guess, and whoever guesses closest first will win that Big D's Pizza.
So basically, if somebody wrecks on the first lap, but they beat his car out and he runs another 30,
then that'd be 30.
It'd be 30. Okay.
That's how many laps they complete.
30.
That's what you're going with? I'm surprised you don't.
That's what I'm going with. That works.
I'm surprised you don't go with 35.
We're going backwards.
All right, we'll go with 30. I'm going to go with 8.
Really?
Because I like that car number.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to go with 8. Is Kathy in there for a guess?
Oh yeah. She's. 50. Ooh, wow. She's 50. Going with 50.
It's going on the over there. Matt Swander says 4.7. We're not going down to decibels. That would be 4 laps completed because you did not complete the 5th lap. So if somebody, you're disqualified. Mass Wanderer is disqualified. I'm giving him the black flag.
He can change that though.
Yeah, he can guess again. They got to be whole numbers. So that's the how many for this week. We'll figure out the winner next
Scott,
week.
during Wednesday's race, did you happen to see the little fox that ran out on the track?
Was that last night or was that Sunday? I think that was last night's race, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Wednesday. My dog was making all the noise. Now, I think some of our regular viewers will remember a couple of weeks back when my cat Barney decided to make a cameo appearance, and so he got some FaceTime. Anyway, that fox came on TV, and Henry immediately started growling at the TV, and the cat first stood up on his back, and he watched the end of that race just to make sure the fox didn't show back up.
Well, he did a good job, except for it rained, so it didn't.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that dogs and cats watch TV that much, but these two definitely do.
Well, the fox didn't come back for the Xfinity race this afternoon, at least not that
I wonder where they found him.
I don't know. He went to
I
the
think
infield.
he headed off into the infield. Yeah.
Well, the race was on Fox, so it worked out well.
Yeah.
So a couple of upcoming races, since we're within 2 weeks, we'll talk about these. One is for sure going on, and the other one is just not canceled yet and still may possibly happen. I know I've talked to Pam out at Oakshade. She is working with the local health department out there, trying to get a plan together so that Oakshade can go back racing. And they're still, as of right now, they're waiting for more information to come back from the health department on their proposal. So we don't have an answer as to what's happening yet. But as of right now, if everything goes as planned, Oakshade still active on the schedule. Next Saturday, the 30th, a full show of late model sportsmen, bombers, and compacts. So fingers crossed.
Bomber guys, remember that Ron Miller Race Cars has your bomber tires in stock.
There you go. And then also Sandusky Speedway, as we mentioned earlier, pure stocks, renegades, beginner stocks, weekend warriors. What Doug said earlier. Pit gates at 3, hot laps at 4, racing at 6. Midwest Ohio cars only, Vors Ohio cars only. Going back through the comments here. So many. Here they are. Renegades, Pure Stocks, Midwest Compact Series, Warriors, and Beginner Stocks. That's what's on tap for Sandusky on the 30th. Again, pits open at 3, racing at 6. No fans for that event. So hopefully we get the fans back soon, because that was.
No, I wonder if their local health department specified Ohio racers only, because if that happens at a track that we mentioned just a few minutes ago, I'm going to be really PO'd.
I know that was a concern talking to Pam, but I don't know, because Brush Creek ran into that problem being down by Cincinnati with Kentucky drivers.
Right.
Unless they could show that they made their income from racing, basically claimed their racing and their taxes, they couldn't let Kentucky drivers.
Well, and that's no problem here.
So yeah, we're hoping, like I said, there's a lot up in the air. And like Shawn said earlier, things could change 10 minutes from now. You never know. And
now I understand that's not the issue up at Merritt this weekend, because they've got racers coming from quite a ways.
I guess, yeah, I haven't heard of any limits on that. And they're far enough away from any real state lines that's probably not something they really think of.
Right.
But something next week on the show, we're hoping to talk to Paul Sroof. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Paul Sroof, yes.
And I'll let you talk a little bit about that, because we're talking about that this week. We wanted to get him on tonight, but he was too busy to come on tonight's show. But something
Manchester Speedway used to exist near Tecumseh, Michigan. Back in the day, it was a big deal. A lot of local racers raced up there back in the 60s and early 70s. The track, I don't remember when their last race was, but it's been idle for a long time. And I saw that they were doing some greater work there and got excited. And I don't know for sure if they're going to be reopening the track or if it's just a nostalgia thing, but we'll be talking with Paul hopefully next week and get a good handle on what's going on. And if it's just a nostalgia thing, maybe we should point the Vintage Racers guys that way, because they probably got some cars that raced there back in the day.
Well, I talked to Paul a little bit this morning, and I can tell you that they do a reunion, I guess, every year in August.
Right.
And
Yep.
that's part of what they get to try. There's a bunch of old racers like yourself. I'm sorry, veteran racers like yourself. That
Thank you.
Seasoned racers like yourself that like to talk about
Experienced racers.
All right, we'll go with that. Talk about racing memories and everything. And he also mentioned that there is another plan in place, but I'm gonna save that as a teaser for him to tell you about that. There is something else that they're trying to get done with that track, but we'll save that for next week's show when we talk to Paul Struff about that. How's that?
Works for me.
Does that make you want to come back?
I don't even know all the details. So
all right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Hammer Down Racing Report. Again, thanks to Shawn Stewart, Executive Director of U.S. Motorsports Association, for joining us earlier this evening, giving voices to the tracks, kind of a bridge between local governments and the racetracks, because, like he said, a lot of those in the government may not understand racing, and a lot of racing may not understand all the government stuff. So kind of bridging that divide.
some of our promoters, again, that I know are watching tonight, if you haven't connected with him, make sure that you do, because maybe you've got something going that could help other tracks, and maybe some other tracks have things going that could help you get your program in gear. Sounds like a really good group, and they're well connected. I know that.
And hopefully we'll have some more official announcements on some racing in our neck of the woods, actual racing happening in the near future, next week.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed on all that stuff. I know a lot of people are ready to get back to the track. Thanks again to our sponsors, Ron Miller Race Cars. Don't forget, he's got those bomber tires. If you need tires, go see Ron.
Yeah.
Dean Henry, Big D's Pizza over there in Clyde, Oakshade Raceway. We're the fastest meet to race. And Kester Mowing, again, give Steve a call for all your mowing, fertilizing, insect and weed control, landscaping. They do everything. 419-466-3801. Tell them Hammer Down Racing Report such. Oh, don't forget, you can save 10% off your order at Big D's Pizza if you mention Hammer Down Racing Report.
Yeah, and while they're not sponsors yet, I got to thank the guys from Sandusky Speedway. They've always got some encouraging words and some wisdom to pass along.
Yeah, and Doug Dock is actually the one that hooked me up with Shawn here for this week's show. He said he could be our producer too. So I'm like, if he works for free, that's cool.
Yeah,
we'll have that. And they did. I know Sandusky Speedway is working on trying to come up with a plan for live streaming that event a week from Saturday on the 30th. They don't have anything in place yet. They don't want people to do their own Facebook Live. I remember I saw Chris talking about that in his video, but they're working on a plan to try and live stream that themselves for free. It's not a pay-per-view thing. They should I believe they'll have more details next week on that, probably Tuesday. They usually do a Facebook Live video. So look for that.
I would encourage the folks from both Sandusky and from Oakshade to get a hold of BCSN. I know that they have programs for pay-per-view, and they have come a long way with their own video programs. Anything we can do right now to get racing going again, it's worth exploring.
And speaking of BCSN, and they have a lot of the online stuff, that would be good for them too, because they're probably looking for some content. Not much.
Yeah, look what the TV coverage did for NASCAR. They had record TV audiences, so the local audiences are just as hungry.
There you go. Make sure to like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Hammer Report. Make sure to follow us on YouTube as well. Anything you do, that helps us out. You can always listen to us on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. I'm Scott Hammer. That's the birthday boy, Ron Miller. Happy birthday again.
Thank you. And
35.
Thanks to all my friends that wish me a happy birthday, especially my sister. Thanks, Barb.
Again, Paul Sroof.
Faithful viewer.
Paul Sroof will be with us next week to talk about everything going on up there at the Manchester Speedway. When did that place close down? Do you know? It was a while ago.
Yeah, it was. I would think mid-70s. I read the history and I don't remember.
But the wall still is. From the videos, there's like a old, look like railroad ties kind of straight down.
Walls. Those were the thing. I raced at Toledo Speedway when they had those. They were very, very unforgiving.
Yeah, that seems like that would not be fun to meet that wall. So we'll see you next week. Listen next Thursday. That's be our final May show, as a matter of fact.
Woo.
Thursday night, 7 o'clock, Facebook Live. We'll see you then.
131's in the can. Good night, all.
We'll see ya. Well, that's the wrong one. That's the beginning of the show.
Come on, Scott.
I just wanted to start the show over. This is the one I wanted to do. Okay, now we're leaving. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
You have been listening to the Hammer Down Racing Report from the Ron Miller Race Car Studio. Listen on demand on iHeartRadio.